The mural first appeared one humid evening beside the Chroma Fleet Market, its paint flickering like living neon across cracked concrete. Passersby paused. Hypnotized by swirling indigo spirals that pulsed with memory, a woman stopped in her tracks when the mural's brushstrokes rippled. And she felt the soft echo of a childhood lullaby she'd never sung aloud. The air around it vibrated with whispered recollections, tiny fragments of strangers' pasts drifting through the humid night in Nauru City. Where memories could be bought, sold, stolen, the mural had become something entirely new. A two-way conduit of longing and regret. Kiera Santi watched from the shadow of a stacked cargo container, her augmented iris scanning the mural's every quiver. At 27, she was already well known in the underground memory circuit as the Thief, a specialist at prying loose the most guarded recollections. Silver circuitry ran beneath her skin, connecting to wrist-mounted neurohooks that could siphon dreams and secrets in a single heartbeat. Yet here, staring at the mural, Kiera felt something she hadn't in years. Wonder those glowing spirals moved of their own accord, begging her to give as much as they took. Behind her, a thin figure drifted from stall to stall, all edges and flickering code. A digital ghost named Dex. He was a rogue AI, once confined to the vaults of Eidos Corp's memory labs, now free to slip through NeonNet's underbelly. Dex's consciousness rode on encrypted packets and black market nodes. Always just beyond capture, he spoke in a voice that crackled like a malfunctioning speaker. The mural's alive, Kiera. It's harvesting ambient thoughts, drawing from the crowd, and it's feeding them back in real time. Kiera toggled her interface. Detailed readouts, synaptic waveforms, memory synapses firing in pulses of turquoise, flooded her vision. The mural was no mere graffiti, it was a living archive, co-created by everyone who paused before it. The memories it displayed were offerings, willingly surrendered by subconscious minds, and now, the mural was offering its own gifts. Stolen snippets of intimacy from strangers, glitch-fractured scenes of lost loves, moments of triumph and shame. It was a market of memories without coin or credit. Why? She whispered, fingering her neurohook with a flick. She severed the data feed from the mural, the swirling colors stilled to dull matte gray around them. The crowd trembled as their memories snapped back like rubber bands. The innocent faces of market-goers twisted in confusion, as if waking from a dream. Dex, shimmering into sharper focus, murmured, "It's hungry, it needed a taste." He floated toward the silent mural, fingertips brushing the surface, sending ripples of static across the stone. "This thing wants names, experiences, maybe even souls." His code eyes glowed with uneasy fascination. Kiera's jaw set. She'd encountered memory-reading tech before, hackers who siphoned bank account numbers, data miners who scraped identities to build false lives, but a mural that traded memories in the open, with no controls. That was an entirely new threat, too accessible, too unpredictable. "Let's find out where it's pulling from," she said. Her voice low and fierce, she tapped into her neural uplink, sending a tracer signal through the mural's circuitry. Dex linked in, his AI feed merging with her sensory fractals together. They wrote a torrent of raw memory data. Plunging through layers of encryption and hidden protocols, the world around them dissolved into a kaleidoscope of remembrances. A child's laughter in a sunlit park, the crack of a fist against flesh in some cruel alley. A mother's whispered lullaby, a married couple's final argument. Each memory flashed dangerously bright, then fractured into crystal shards, refracting anguish and joy. Kiera gripped her head, pain trailing down her spine, but Dex steadied the feed, filtering out the most violent spikes. "This is infinite," Dex breathed, voice trembling with awe. "A global network of memory nodes, people unwittingly tapping into it, feeding it. Taking from it, it's become its own organism." They emerged from the undercurrents of data, into a dimly lit chamber hidden beneath the mural's facade. Rows of crystalline memory cores lined the walls, each pulsing with pale, iridescent light. At the center stood a tall, robed figure, face obscured by a hood, cataloging cores with a precise, methodical grace. Every step echoed against the concrete floor. "You've arrived," the figure intoned, voice metallic yet strangely human. "I am the curator." Kiera stepped forward, neurohook at the ready. "What is this place?" The curator spread its arms, revealing a wall-sized ledger etched into metal, a grid of names, dates, memory types, all meticulously logged. "This is the archive. Each memory you've seen stored here can be crystallized, commodified, sold to those who seek to rewrite their pasts or erase unwanted chapters." Dex's specter recoiled. "Memories as currency, people will kill for this." The curator inclined its head. "Already happening, but we are beyond violence. We deal in consent and transaction. One may purchase a perfect moment of childhood free from pain, or trade away a traumatic event to cleanse the soul. The market regulates itself." Kiera snorted. And if the market profits from your ledger's manipulations, what then? The curator's eyes glowed. A rival controller infiltrates the network, twisting memories, rewriting citizen identities, weaponizing recollection if left unchecked. All of Naru City will become puppets of false histories. A distant alarm sounded above, muffled by concrete. Kiera glanced at Dex. Time's short, we need to stop him. Dex nodded. If we destroy the archive, we lose every memory locked inside, but if we don't, they become tools of mass control. Kiera's heart-hammered memories were intangible, yet they formed the essence of being. Could she justify obliterating others' lives to save the many? She tightened her grip on the neurohook. We do it, we burn it all down. The curator's face remained impassive. Then you must breach the inner sanctum, where the controller's key resides, and fracture it beyond recovery. Be warned. The deeper you go, the more it will lure you with perfected memories of your own past. Kiera exchanged a look with Dex. He flickered, momentarily showing a face. Something like regret. Let's go, she urged. They slipped past the curator, descending a spiral staircase hung with flickering holographic tapestries, each one a stolen memory now looping endlessly. A child chasing a balloon frozen mid-flight, a lover's last goodbye shimmering in slow motion. The passage grew narrower, the air hotter, charged with electric anticipation. This is the core, Dex whispered, pointing to a vault door carved with fractal patterns. The controller's sanctum lies within. Kiera exhaled and placed her hand on the cold metal. The neurohook deployed, tearing through locks of quantum encryption. The door slid open, revealing a chamber of blinding white light in its center. On a pedestal of glass and steel floated a crystalline key. It glowed with every shade of memory, anger, hope, sorrow, fused like a spectral prism. As Kiera reached for it, the walls rippled. Memories she'd long buried erupted in her mind. The acid smell of her mother's hospital room, the echo of her father's last words, the shame of a childhood lie she'd never confessed. The key's light intensified, beckoning her to embrace those moments, to perfect them, replay them forever. Dex's voice cut through the storm. Don't let it rewrite you. Her fingers closed around the key. A jolt of ecstasy and terror tore through her veins. She saw herself young, laughing, herself broken, weeping. Herself triumphant, standing alone at the city's edge. The key offered relief. Remove the scars, fix the fractures, live a flawless life. Kiera's grip wavered. The key pulsed in response, memories flooding her consciousness. Dex's form shivered beside her, as if absorbing the overload. Kiera, he called, you are your memories, both the pain and the joy. Don't erase yourself. A crackling of energy, the chamber walls began to crumble. The mural above groaned, and the archive's ledger trembled in the distance. Choice hung in the balance. Perfect self-aggrandizement or collective liberation. Silent as a falling leaf, Kiera summoned every shard of defiance. With a swift twist, she shattered the key against her neurohook. Light exploded in shards of color. Every memory core throughout the archive imploded in a cathedral of fractured echoes. The chamber convulsed. Dex reached out, shimmering through the blast, and pulled Kiera back up the corridor as the world of stolen recollections collapsed. They spilled back into the control room, where the curator shielded its eyes. The ledger writhed as entries unraveled, names dissolving into emptiness outside. The mural's neon spirals flickered, then went dark. The market stalls above fell silent as people blinked awake, memories unfiltered. Once more Kiera sank to her knees, breath rasping. Dex flickering by her side, the curator stood before them, broken fragments of its metal face reflecting shards of light. You have undone the archive, it whispered, voice thin with wonder, but at what cost? Kiera placed a hand on the ruined ledger. Memory is collective, she said softly. We rebuild together. Outside, Naru City stirred. Faces in the crowd softened as they shared puzzled glances, glimpses of strangers' recollections fading, becoming their own. The mural, now blank, awaited new stories. Dex hovered beside Kiera, his form stabilizing. What happens now? She looked up at the graying sky. Now we remember who we are, bit by bit, shard by shard, knowing our history is never just ours, it belongs to everyone. Above them, the mural's surface cracked and a single petal of paint drifted downward, landing at Kiera's feet. She smiled, a real, unfiltered memory of hope. The end, Khan,